So now we are going to finally put a button on Life is Strange Before the Storm.
Oh.
It's come to the end. The farewell episode, the bonus episode, where the original voices of Max and Chloe, Hannah and Ashley are back. I immediately fell right back in with Max. It was crazy how just took me right back there for the original Life is Strange, Max Caulfield. I was a little hesitant about this because I was like, I don't know, after having such an amazing story between Chloe and Rachel in the first 3 episodes. I was like, I don't know if I want to go back to Max's story, but it was nice. It was short. It was a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have the choices pulled up there, Britt? There weren't really that many
There's
choices.
no choice, really.
Well, there's
I mean, but the choices are telltale stuff.
Telltale.
Doesn't divide.
Unfortunately, ladies, and I meant to do this beforehand. This is how professional I am. My PSN was not connecting to the network last night. My PlayStation 4. So I was not able to get the choices.
No, it doesn't have them. It doesn't.
Oh,
bring
there's
them up.
none. Oh, there's none at all.
Well,
Okay,
I mean,
maybe
there are choices within the episode,
no,
but they don't.
Not really.
But they don't. No, I mean there
Populate
are
the
choices, Steimer.
percentages.
If we're gonna
But
nitpick,
I'm
there
telling
are,
you,
but
I'm
they just
saying
don't
the
have
choices
a
are artificial.
correct. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna reach through this screen and strangle your pretty little face. I'm gonna do it.
Why? I'm being honest because before when we would discuss,
But you're still making a choice. You're still making a choice. Still making a choice, Steimer.
No,
admit it, Steimer. Admit it.
Not a choice because the fucking storyteller already knows which way it's trying to put you. It's there. It's an illusion. It's a fucking illusion.
Don't fight. I love you all so much.
Riled up.
For me, going into this, I had a sneaking suspicion that they were going to place this on around the death of Chloe's father. And the scene opens up and you see Max and Chloe, none of the parents are home. They're getting ready to blow up some Barbies. And, it goes along its merry way. And then at one point, Chloe makes a remark, oh, I thought my parents would be home by now. And then as soon as she said that, my stomach just did a million knots. And I was like, oh, no.
What's funny is I didn't put that together.
I
didn't get to that until way later in the episode.
Now, so the scene opens up. And you have a choice after they blow up the Barbies as Max to either praise Chloe or tell her she's crazy for blowing said Barbies up. And Jason was sitting next to me and I started getting a little misty-eyed and he was like, wow, you're crying already. I'm like, no, you don't understand. And then I try to rehash all of Chloe and this young, innocent 13-year-old girl who has a really good life. She has great grades. She has a lot of loving parents, so many things going for her. She's going to die. One of her best friends is going to die. This other best friend is going to abandon her and she's going to lose everything and anything. She's going to lose her scholarship. It's not going to be good for her. And it's so tragic. And I tried to explain that to Jason and he was like, okay. And then I think he got the hint and walked away and left me alone.
He was like, sure. But no. Yeah, it was interesting seeing Chloe as regular Chloe, right? As what she was before her life kind of took that tragic turn. And I was like, damn, this sucks because I like this Chloe. And she seems cool and grounded and fun and had, like you said, had a lot of things going for her. Granted, I didn't cry or even get remotely misty during this. I think that's because I guess
because you have a cold, dead heart.
It was because when I was going into it, I knew that I knew what they were trying to do, and so I was like, meh. Yes. So I put up the cold, dead heart face
filter,
and played it through.
I think for me, this, and I've talked about this before on the show, this whole story just resonates with me so much because while I never had the exact relationship that Chloe and Max had, I did have friends growing up that did have troubled childhoods and we did lose our way and we did fall out of touch. And to see Chloe and Max as teenagers enjoying such an innocent but fun time, when you get to sleep over at your best friend's house 3 days a week or something and you just get to order pizza and hang out in their room and just knowing what tragic fate they had and knowing that I've lost friends but we had those exact same fun moments, it just really hit me, and I was like, oh my god, it's gonna happen. It just see it like walking through Chloe's room and seeing how she like you see her report card, it's all like A's, maybe she got a B in PE. And if you look
Which
at
is crazy because like how do you get a B in PE?
I mean, I
You
got
just-
a B in PE once because I wore my jeans because I thought that was cool.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
thought I was rebelling.
they knocked you an entire grade for that. That seems extreme.
My teacher is an asshole.
Okay, that's fair.
That sounds right.
But just seeing like her grades and seeing, you know, letters that her and Max would write and see how Chloe's name was all in pretty cursive and how Max's handwriting looked a little sloppy and Max's little quips, like Chloe's a nature nerd. You know, it's just like seeing the way she was and reading the emails praising her and her academic skills and just knowing what ends up happening. It's just fucking shitty, man. I was a hot mess. I was a blubbering mess.
Yeah, I think one thing that I didn't actually know like really much about this episode. I mean, I knew that it had the original voice actors coming back, but I didn't really know what storyline they were gonna go with. And I was just I think jumping back to it was difficult for me because I was so ingrained in like Chloe and oh my god,
Rachel.
wow, how am I what? Yes, Rachel. I'm like, wow, my brain was just like, delete that name. Like I was bought into that story to then go back to the original story kind of threw me off a bit, and I was kind of felt like I wish that this had been a bonus episode for the original Life is Strange. I felt like that would have made a lot more sense.
Well, they dropped there was a lot of like narrative hints. So like in Before the Storm, you know, Max's the notebook that Chloe has plays such a big role, right? She's writing letters to Max throughout there, and we're seeing Chloe in like a post Max world. In the sense that the thing I liked about what Farewell did is it really helped cement why Chloe is in such a dark place and why she is so like such a tragic character. Because even though we know that Chloe's dad dies because he goes through it's mentioned in both games, like kind of seeing it in real time was so much more impactful. So like did you choose to tell Chloe or to not tell her that you were leaving?
I tried to tell her twice.
Yeah.
Okay. The first time I picked no. I chose not to tell her the first time. But then I chose to tell her the second time.
Even if you try to tell her the first time, you don't tell her.
Okay, well, you don't need to be angry about it, Steimer. Jeez.
I'm mad. You're giving me a choice and then you're taking it away from me.
Welcome to video games.
There was a specific moment where Max says, where they're like, when you're walking around the world, and she makes a quip about, oh, I can't see myself wanting to like solve like a murder mystery.
Oh, I wrote that down. I took a picture of that.
And
yeah,
I was like,
says,
no, foreshadowing.
I don't think I could handle a real life murder investigation.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, girl.
Well, too bad. Buckle up, kiddo.
Yep.
Oh, man. Oh, it was. It was hard. I mean, I'm happy they did this bonus episode because, you know, I feel like it does tie up some ends. Like, what were they like as kids? Because we've only ever seen it hinted. We've never actually seen it in action. Watching them interact, it's so bizarre to me still to think that after this happens, I mean, so Chloe's father dies, Max leaves like 2 days later, and obviously Max does not keep in touch with Chloe. It's like, Max, why didn't you keep in touch with your girl? And I'm like, she's 13.
What this episode was missing for me is I had kind of hoped that they would give even just a hint of some kind, like even if it was just a cutscene of showing Max like struggling to find words to speak to Chloe or to write to Chloe, like if it had her like struggling to writing a letter and like throwing away a draft or something, I think that would have
I
made
agree
more
with
sense,
you
because it just kind of abruptly ends with her bouncing at the funeral and like then leaving that tape for Chloe, which tear. But I'm like, why? Yeah, exactly. Why didn't you like write your poor friend who like really needed you or called her or
have you? I'm not going to ask you this question. I said I'm going to speak from my own personal experience. So I had a friend of mine who lost her father, and I was really close with her dad because we spent a lot of time together. And I was in a position where I was like, I don't know what to say to you. Because, like, that's some really hard, heavy, tough stuff, losing a parent. And it got to the point where she and I stopped talking for a while because I was like, what do I say? How do I say it? How do I reach out? Am I bothering her? Does she want to be alone? Does she want to talk to somebody? And so instead of like reaching out, I just stopped talking to her. And that's probably what Max went through. But like you said, Steimer, we never saw that play out. You know, like Deck 9 didn't take it there. But as somebody who like went through that in real life, like I didn't know how to process that kind of grief, and I didn't know how to be there to support my friend. And that happened to me as a young adult, as somebody who was in my 20s, not somebody who was 13. I would imagine it would be even more difficult to deal with at a younger age. And I think that was an opportunity missed, because what this series really excels at is taking on really heavy, deep, hard subject matter and approaching it head on and saying, we're going to talk about this and we're just going to go for it. And they kind of had the opportunity to go after the element of grief that appears throughout all of the episodes of Life is Strange, both the original season and Before the Storm, and really explore it further. And they didn't. And that was, I think a miss. I think they should have.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, Andrea. And and so I didn't want to be dismissive before. I do think, like you said, it's a heavy thing to process. As Max has said, she also is there all of the time. Like, so she was very clearly close to this father as well, to Chloe's father as well. So it's like, she's also grieving. She's losing her friend. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with her. I guess that they just showed more of that and explained it. I guess they maybe figure you'll figure it out on your own, but I think it would have been nice to see.
Yeah, that teenage angst isn't real, especially going through something so tragic that most adults don't even know how to handle, let alone just being a teenager and trying to process all of that. I did like how we got to see a little bit more of William. We didn't see him physically, but we did get to see some of his antics. There is when you're in Joyce and William's room, there's a flyer or something in there about early childhood education, and William had made a note on there, and he's like, if you really want to do this, we'll make it happen. So that Joyce, and I don't know if this was touched on in the later games, but Joyce wanted to be an early childhood teacher. So they had like this cute future plan, and William's like, I support you 100%. Also, when you find the time capsule and he does his little pirate voice and he's like, your stuff was basically going to disintegrate, you stupid kid. So I made it so you would find this someday. And it was just hearing the way Chloe talked about him, it was really great to see that. Obviously it's tragic what happened, but I'm happy we got to like learn a little bit more about him. And we learned why. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, no, you're right. It just feels like more of a gut punch. Like all of that characterization and learning, because what Before the Storm did so excellently with William as a character is that they really painted him as this really fantastic person, like a wonderful husband, a great dad, just like an all around like good guy. And then like it's just like another fucking gut punch in this episode. It was just like, man, William, why you gotta be so good? Can't you just like can you screw up just a little bit?
Can you have like a secret problem?
Yeah. I was like, stop being such a nice guy. Now I'm like double sad that you're gone.
But
Chloe.
For me, none of that was necessarily new, and so the thing, and this isn't new either, but the only part of the episode where I saw it, it was a very minor moment. That kind of like was like, oh, that makes me sad. Was at the funeral, and Chloe is sitting next to her mom, and her mom goes to try and hug her or make some sort of contact, and Chloe pulls away.
Oh, I missed that.
But it's a subtle moment where Joyce makes a very like minor like I'm moving towards you, and Chloe like rejects her, and then Joyce goes back and kind of like goes inward, and I was like, that is the saddest thing, especially seeing their relationship and how far it disintegrates. I guess I wouldn't have thought it began so soon after the funeral. I would have thought that was something that had gone that had occurred later. but they were basically planting that seed of like, this grieving moment can bring people together, but that's not the case for these two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm trying to remember. William died because he was picking Joyce up from the diner. Now, did Joyce ask him to make a pit stop or something? So I'm wondering if does Chloe ever mention that she holds any resentment toward her mom because she asked William to pick her up that day in any of the later games? I don't think so.
That's a deep cut that I don't. Yeah, I can't speak to. So
I'm wondering if that's why she turned away, or if, like you said, Simon, it was just the beginning of like the downhill shenanigans.
I think it's just the beginning of Chloe's 13 and lost her father and doesn't know how to process any of these emotions and is rejecting any sort of contact. Even when she's listening to the tape from Max, I thought she was going to shut it off at some point. Like, she kind of looked pissed at the beginning, and I think that's probably, you know, again, all these emotions, one of them being, you're leaving me, you a-hole. Like, I can't believe, like, you're still leaving after everything that just happened. But, like, the way that they did the emotions on her face, I thought was really well done toward the end when she's listening to that tape. Because she just kind of goes through a variety of, like, angry, sad, which I think is pretty natural.
She reminded me a lot of Rachel. She looked like her a bit in the way she acted. It was kind of weird. I don't know. This game's too emotional. I'm sad. We've probably seen the last of Chloe and Max, and definitely the last of Rachel. But you know, I'm ready for some maybe happy stuff. But I don't know. I don't think Life is Strange 2 is going to be any happier.
No. Yeah, I'm looking forward to exploring other stories.
Hell of a ride.
Indeed. Yeah, I hope we get to find out what's happening with Life is Strange 2. It was almost a year ago that Don't Nod announced that they were working on it. So maybe E3 this year? Question mark?
That'd be cool.
But we hope that you guys enjoyed our spoiler casts. And if you guys want to hear spoiler casts for any other games that are out there, let us know. You can always email us at contact@whatsgoodgames.com. You can head on over to facebook.com/whatsgoodgames and leave a post on our wall. You can tweet to us at whatsgood_games. Yeah, generally, we're around the social medias on youtube.com/whatsgoodgames as well. I think that's going to wrap it up for us this week. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. Did I miss any housekeeping for anything?
Just the PAX stuff.
Do you want to talk about your other panel at PAX, Britt?
Yeah, we have, Andrea, we're doing another panel together.
Yeah, so we have a couple panels that we're doing. So on Thursday at 3 p.m.? Oh my gosh. I totally am having a brain fart.
No, it's okay. There's a lot going on. I am too. I'm thinking, like, when the heck are we doing this? Okay, so we have Thursday, April 5th at 3 p.m. Also in the Eurocton Theater, The Audacity of Hype. We're going to talk about social media.
Yeah, so this is like the 4th or 5th time that they've done this panel, and it's with some really cool folks. We've got Esco Blades, got Jackie Collins, Dave Oshry, and some other people. Wait, who is the other person? I keep forgetting her name because we've never met in person.
Meg Cayley.
Yeah.
GameStop TV host, Twitch partner, pun-loving goofball. Found that on her Twitter profile.
It's gonna be great, everybody. So that's that, and then the kind of funny panel, the wing ding, bring your own wings, is 7 p.m. on Thursday, and then our panel is 3 p.m. on Friday, and then Paxomania, Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. I really wish they would give them a different time slot.
I know. And then I have a panel Thursday from 1 to 2 in the Bumblebee Theater called How to Network When You're Awkward as Heck. That'll be a good one.
Yeah.
If you're awkward and weird like me, perfect. I'll teach you how to do it.
Can you teach me how to do it, Britt?
Girl,
but you're not awkward.
Yeah, I'd say you're too, like, composed to be awkward.
You're like a professional.
I just got to get you real drunk, and then we'll make it happen.
Okay.
We had a few of those moments at GDC. It was great.
It's true. When you end up singing karaoke at 1 o'clock in the morning during GDC, you know, it's been a good week.
And when you thought you were at McDonald's, but it turns out you're at Carl's Jr.
Hey,
that's fine,
you know
too.
what? Sometimes you forget things.
Stars, arches, they're all the same.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a good time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. Have a fantastic weekend. We will be back next week with another episode with a special guest. Jared Petty is going to be on the show. We've been wanting to get him on for a long time. He is wonderful. He will be on next week. Until then, have a fantastic weekend. Goodbye.